Alright guys, we're back for another Dokkan battle video. So we had Dokkan World War 52 today, or something like that. INT GOKU Black's EZA got revealed, and he's pretty bad. I mean, I would like to get a lot of, like, you know, use of him in some of these tough fights before I could really say, but I mean, he does seem like transforming Vegeta level. That's basically exactly what he is. Like, he's probably very close to transforming Vegeta. Now, transforming Vegeta has not yet come to Global Dokkan, so you guys don't really have a hands-on experience for how bad that character is, but that's kind of what he is. Now, I would say, judging by the reaction, I do feel like people, like, are definitely overblowing it a bit in certain aspects, but, like, I do get it. And, I mean, if I would, like, identify a major issue with the game, I mean, I think we could always say friend system, right? But I would say, like, prolonged weakness / fumbles for villains is a legitimate concern and a major issue, and certainly this Goku Black EZA is only continuing that trend. So, I mean, I would agree. Like, again, like, we're gonna, you know, take a look at what people are talking about with some stuff that's bothering them. I feel like I'm probably gonna push back on a lot of it, but I really do want to be very fair. But I do feel like weakness of villains is just, like, such a real thing. And it's like, I really love the LR Future Gohan. Sort of Trunks, to me, seems like he kind of had to be an LR, but it's like, damn, man, like, you know, I mean, maybe they just should have not done LR Future Gohan, right? Like, I don't know. I mean, we'll see. I would certainly say LR Future Gohan during this celebration, like, if we would talk about, like, what would be the most successful for the game, I think if they did LR Future Gohan now, but then, you know, Rose was, like, you know, let's say the Christmas Carnival LR, I feel like that probably would be, like, Rose as a Christmas Carnival LR to me screams more successful than, like, Future Gohan, right? Like, imagine they had both LRs made, and they're like, okay, we could put one here and then one for Christmas. If that is the case, I do think Rose for Christmas would be a better idea, right? I think Future Gohan can kind of be propped up a little bit by the celebration, whereas Rose himself can carry the hype by himself outside of a major celebration. Let's take a look at what people have got to say. We got, you know, again, the two posts. We could look at some quotes. We could look at some replies. Okay, let's take a look at this. Making so many characters seemingly built for 10+ turn content while barely ever releasing long events. I mean, look at this. 2,000 likes, 100 retweets. People are on board with this. I agree. I would say, though, to me, it does seem like it's tough to make this content hard. I think they did a good job with Omega. The thing about this, right, is this is a little bit more of a global issue in that Omega is not out on global, right? This guy is like the king of the Omega fight. This guy is a god in the Omega fight. This unit, believe it or not, to me, sometimes are a little bit scary because oftentimes I'm not able to transform them. I mean, I don't know, maybe that's just a me issue, but more content catered towards characters being able to you know, kind of like build into their abilities for sure. And I mean, guess what? If we were getting 10+ turn content, this INT GOKU Black EZA that has really frustrated people today, again, I think for very valid reasons. I don't think it's like, oh my god, people are being whiny about it. Like, no, like, I get it. He would be better. And the EZA Tech Trunks would be better as well. The other EZA from this celebration. Although that guy, I think, is he's significantly better than INT GOKU Black, right? So yeah, we'll see. Now, keep in mind, we're about to get several very difficult stages in 2 days. So, I mean, I think that there's at least a very reasonable chance to me that we are going to see like these fights potentially be long. Like, to me, a fusion Zamasu red zone stage, I feel like has got a real opportunity, a real chance to be like a long, difficult stage. But we will see. All right, here's one from Luca. Let's take a look, and then let's look at some press. Again, look at this. 88 retweets. Like, people are agreeing with these points heavily. Oh, here. Okay. So, made carnival banners pointless. Yes. Carnivals in 2022, regardless what people think or say, I will fight all day with people that they were good last year. They created a way to split up the Dual Dokkan Fest and kind of have hype carry over. I think that the hype like there was definitely a big amount of hype for part 2, but it doesn't feel like it was met with people like having their sights set so much on Goku Black, right? So the fact that if they're gonna do dual Dokkan Fest and then like a dual Carnival is just that they don't even feel like there's a reason to do them. I thought it was great when it's Dokkan Fest plus Carnival in part 1 and part 2. That's so good. That's so good. And I mean, they decided to run it back. Now the thing is too, people will push back on me on this, but Dokkan definitely does listen. You can't like look at some things and like what happens. Like there's obviously a correlation, right? Like there's several things look at the 2022 Worldwide Talent Celebration, which to me seems like it's probably still going to be the best celebration in Dokkan history after this is done. But we'll see. Part 3 hasn't even actually dropped yet. There was 2 things in particular that people really hated. The splitting up of the dual Dokkan Fest with the Carnival banner, and then remember the boost characters and the Pride of the Wicked Bloodline and Spirit of the Saiyans event. Those 2 things were removed. People were definitely... I was telling people, like, say it respectfully, but tell them in the surveys that you don't like this stuff. I think people really did that. I think people did it the correct way, which is just tell the devs in the survey that they didn't like it without, being like pricks or assholes, stuff like that. I think people handled it the right way, and they listened. And they got rid of the boost units for the event, and they got rid of the Dokkan Fest / Carnival. So, I mean, there is an extent to where some of the stuff is being listened to. Disappointing EZAs for hype characters, sure. But, I mean, the thing is, this is not new. Right? Like, it's occasionally they release good characters, occasionally they release bad characters. I mean, this is every game. I mean, I really like Dead by Daylight. Sometimes a new killer is ass, sometimes a new killer is crazy, right? Look at Legends. Sometimes characters are good, sometimes characters are bad. I mean, this right here is not specifically a Dokkan problem. Inconsistent animation quality. Sure. This is not actually just a thing that just started, though. Here's what I want to do. 2022 had it's the same level that we're seeing this year. I want to look at 2021. Let's just move backwards in 2021. Man, they changed the way that this is structured a little bit. Yeah, okay. We don't need to look at... Anniversary animations are always insane, right? We could just skip to March. Trunks and Goten's animations were very good, right? I thought they looked very good. Broly's were pretty good. I think they were pretty good. Trunks, his were solid as well. Okay. April. Videl's were okay. I mean, not bad. Not bad, not great. Tapion and Minosha, I would probably argue they were pretty good considering they didn't have a lot to work with, right? I mean, Tapion and Minosha are damn near a Dokkan original practically, aren't they? Like, I feel like that looks pretty good. These guys, I feel like I'd have to say they look pretty good. You don't see their active skills often, but they look pretty good, right? Now, LR Super 17, he's the next release. He was okay, right? Like, he's okay. Remember that the Dokkan Fest Super 17 that we got this year? His were way better than the LR. These are, like, okay. These are only okay. Kid Gohans are only okay. They're not that crazy. What was June? Goku and Piccolo's, I think, did actually look pretty good, right? Goku and Piccolo's are pretty good. Gogeta's are crazy. I mean, the 12 key is... The one shot of Gogeta looks disgusting, god-awful. But, like, the animations overall are superb, right? So there's that. Janemba's animations look very good. I specifically remember people complaining about Super Vegeta's animations, and I didn't see it. I thought they looked great. I thought his Final Flash looked great, and I thought his active skill was fine. I saw people complaining about the active skill for Super Vegeta. I personally did not think there was any issue with it. Okay, so we have that. Continuing on. Is what? Namek Goku and Full Power Frieza. They're exceptional. Some of the best animations ever. Easily. Yeah, maybe people are right, because it's like, we're looking through 2021, and there's not really a ton of holes, huh? Gohan and Krillin's, I think, look pretty good. I do think the Vegeta here is a little iffy, but Goku's animations are so crazy, even though you never see them. Who was next? Kale and Caulifla? The animations were solid. I don't think they're exceptional, but they're solid. They're solid. Hit and God Goku, their animations were kind of the worst. Actually, the worst so far, huh? They're not like the worst ever, but they didn't look that good. Trunks, his base attack is really good. His Super Saiyan attack is really good, but his transformation is a little bit mid. But overall, I feel like I could probably say, you know, they do look good. We'll skip over the heroes. Version Z Goku's animation's really good for a free-to-play character. Let's just skip the heroes characters. No reason to talk about them. The androids they're solid. Solid, right? Super Saiyan 3 Gokus look pretty good. Future Gohan and Trunks, I'd say theirs look pretty good. Yeah, you know, I feel like I would have pushed back on this heavy, but I mean, we looked at 2021 and yeah, I wouldn't say this was true for 2021. So, okay. Again, going into this video, I would have pushed back on this. 2022 certainly had the same level of kind of like inconsistent quality, but 2021 very clearly did not. I mean, 2020, Angel Gold and Frieza look good. Vegito looks good. Buhan looks good. The Angel Super Saiyan 2 Vegeta looks good. Bojack looked at least decent, right? Super Saiyan 2 Gohan looked really good. So it's like, even if we go through 2020, I feel like a lot of those do end up looking pretty good. So sure, 2022 and 2023 maybe are a little bit of a dip. I think maybe that's true. I think that this is, yeah, this is a major thing. The restricted extreme class units. Yeah, it's like, they're always going to release more hero characters and villains. Like, that's just, we're not going to get around that. But it just becomes a thing where the villains being very weak or very mid really will stand out. Because, you know, EZA Tech Trunks, right? Like, he's only okay. Like, he's mid for sure. The EZA Tech Trunks. Here, let me... This guy right here. I'll pull up my EZA tier list. Oh, whoops. There, like that. This Trunks, he's mid. But it doesn't matter. Because he just got a summonable LR. And, you know, we got Future Gohan, he's crazy. And we have all the... LR Future Gohan is crazy, right? Like, we get all of these, like, super class buffs. But, like, now, like, INT GOKU Black is coming in. And it's like, there's not really a replacement for him. It's like, we needed him. Yeah, I would, no matter... I mean, I would probably argue with people, this is the worst release ever. It's, like, this guy does not have the same level of hype that Raditz does. But, I mean, this is worse than Raditz, man. It's gotta be. This has got to be worse than Raditz. Because Raditz is a Dokkan Fest, though, which does give him extra bonus points for being bad. But this is their third Goku in 4 months, right? Like, this is just a dreadful release. Inconsistent free-to-play unit level. Yeah, but I mean, I would argue that free-to-play characters have been stronger this year than, like, ever before. Has free-to-play units ever been better? I mean, version Z Goku, he was an exception. He was a standout. But, like, we've had some really good free-to-play characters this year. So, I'm a little bit hesitant to jump on board with this. The figure class, yeah, they've stopped this for all. I think that this is not a Dokkan issue. This is Dragon Ball. Like, Shueisha and Toei are killing Dragon Ball. So, like, that's more of a problem with them than, like, Dokkan itself, right? Yeah, release units with no help, ban units that weren't as good as months old summons. But, again, some of these things have always been true. This has always been true, right? Like, banner units, I mean, a lot of times they didn't start to get super good until, I don't know, I have to really go back and double check. But banner units have always been inconsistent. What I was trying to get at with this video is, what are they doing that's kind of, like, new that is upsetting people? And some of these, like, you know, inconsistent free-to-play characters has always been a thing. Banner units being shit often has always been a thing. The release units with no help is certainly a problem. Kale, Super 17, right? Like, we could point out numerous characters that have not really gotten much help. I mean, maybe LR Fusion Zamasu, although the EZA he got was very helpful. Let's look at some replies. Oh, Goresh. Goat Rush. Let's see what Goat Rush. Oh my god, dude. We got an essay here, Goresh. Alright, buddy. Release characters without viable setups and refuse to help them in any way, so they end up getting tossed in random leader skill, even if there's no synergy between them and the rest of the team. To me, that screams Super 17. Kale, again, is a major issue as well. I mean, people will dick ride so hard for Super Trunks, but, like, I mean, I don't know. I can't really say Super Trunks, can I? The problem with him, he needs these Android Cell Saga characters, but, like, I would argue he got the help he needs. Right, like it's just down to his weakness, his inconsistency. This affects extreme class units way more often since amount of extreme class units doesn't even come close to super class. Yeah, this is something I've been talking about for a while. Like they really can't afford to fumble extreme class characters, which is why Int Goku Black today being fumbled pissed people off so hard. Not only do they not even try to remotely compensate for this difference in any way, they actively make extreme class units worse on a consistent basis. An easy way to point this out is they have this obsession with making extreme class characters get buffs, really meaningful buffs against super class enemies, and then they don't really release fights for super class enemies, right? Like the Gods and Mortal event, we do have the new Vegito Blue fight, which a lot of people really love right now, but like that's not, like we would want, like the red zone stages are the true challenge stages. Like we want, you know, the Vegito red zone stage, the Goku and Vegeta red zone stage. Like that's what we need for sure. Why would anyone summon for extreme class units after seeing how? Yeah, dude, this is, yeah. I mean, yeah, exactly. Why would you summon for extreme class characters? I saw a lot of people saying, I really wish I hadn't summoned on Fusion Zamasu. Fusion Zamasu is great. Fusion Zamasu is exactly how they need to release a villain. AGL Zamasu is also how they need to release a villain. But I mean, you just know you're not, like, if you get, so like, okay, Super Trunks. They release Super Trunks with the, he's got dog shit inconsistencies, and he has this terrible condition. You need Andros has Cell Saga units who suck. But what happened? He got the help within a month, right? Like, well, I mean, I guess Super Trunks is a July character, but still, like, he's gotten so much help already. That really changes things. It's like, do we expect Fusion Zamasu to get, you know, another summonable LR and another strong TUR within the next month? It's possible, but probably not, right? If you're someone who's concerned with budgeting stones, I actually believe you'll be hurting your account if you decide to summon for extreme class units at this point. Yes and no, right? For sure, specific extreme class units, yeah, but I mean, do I think that players really hurt themselves? Let's look at the global banner for this. Do I think players actually hurt themselves summoning a Fusion Zamasu's banner? I would argue no. That's the ticket. I mean, we just pull this up right here. Okay, so let's take a look. So imagine you summon on that banner. You have Fusion Zamasu, Piccolo Jr. These are the best two villains. Zamasu sucks. But you got Orange Piccolo here. You got these guys who are still good. These guys do kind of suck ass. This unit is very mid. This guy is mid. We're waiting on his EZA, I guess. This guy is a god, though. And this guy, of course, was fumbled pretty badly. But, like, you're getting other top class, super class characters on here. The point I would argue for free-to-play players anyway, and, you know, stone budgeters, is you're saving for these type of dual Dokkan Fest banners anyway, no matter what. Those are the banners you need to be saving for. Giving units restrictions in order to fulfill them, yeah. I mean, yeah, this is bad for Turles. Turles is completely different with his intro up. Permanent support just for the whole team. The team is just different with Turles' support up. And right now, like, we can't really actually even take advantage of that, so that's an issue for sure. Extreme class releases not being it, especially when it comes to unnecessary restrictions. Yep. Well, I keep giving them versus super class enemy stuff, then release nothing but extreme class events. Yeah, I mean, it's... This has been one of the best years for villains. Okay. Well, okay. This is true in that Fusion Zamasu, AGL Zamasu, and Piccolo Jr. But yeah, Ningen came back with the... Yeah, what about Super 17, man? Yeah. What about Turles? I mean, Turles at least got some banner unit help, but Turles feels to me like he's on an island. Because Turles, for him to be very spectacular, needs Big Bad Boss's characters. And Big Bad Boss's characters on Turles' team suck. LR Final Form Cooler, he was good for a while. He's still okay. But he's not going in and just clapping his balls all over the Dismal Future Red Zone. These new bosses are hitting hard, right? Like, it's not... A lot of these fights are structured differently. Like, we need options, significant options. It's like none of these characters are on Turles' team or really interact with Turles. You don't want to run Turles on Fusion Zamasu's team, Turles on a double 150% leader skill, right? Like, villains could, you know, be massively helped if there was just a villain category, right? You know how Legends has powerful opponent? Like, Dokkan should really invest in making a powerful opponent category. It's like that would help out. And then look at Omega. How about Omega Shenron? Omega Shenron is very powerful on a GT Bosses team. Yeah, guys, GT Bosses, ring it up. Oh, let's take a look here. I just don't get annoyed enough even with the worst of shafts, but that's just me. That's kind of how I am. I mean, I don't know. At this point, like, we know what Dokkan is. Like, I get the hunger for the game to be better, the hunger for the game to improve, but at a certain point, it is what it is. I would argue that, right? Like, I do think a friend system revamp is coming eventually, right? Just the way I had faith. A global sync is coming eventually. But, like, if these things frustrate you about Dokkan, how likely are they to change? I don't know. This is why I always come back to this same point, and people get really mad at me when I say it, but I'll say it, and then I'll explain what people are mad about and why people are wrong about why they're mad about it. If the game is frustrating you to this extent, stop playing or take a break. Now, I'm not saying this to shut down criticism of the game. That's not the point. But, like, I have looked at how people have been, like, talking today. People are, like, fuming mad. Like, face red with anger. And it's like, this is a game that's supposed to be fun. You're supposed to be having fun. Games are meant to be fun. So, I mean, I don't think it's a good idea to force yourself to play if the game is really, really frustrating. And certainly Dokkan, I mean, people will say like, oh my god, Dokkan has fallen off. Dokkan is actually better than ever. But it's just like people who say that Dokkan has fallen off, these are people who have been playing for years, right? So it's like the game becomes stale, things become more annoying, right? You know, issues with the game that have remained for years, like the friend system, just they become so like glaring after experiencing the problem for years and years and years, right? Like it's just the way it's going to be. I heavily encourage people to just put the game down for a little bit. Just put that shit down for a bit. If something happens later on that excites you, come back. If something doesn't, like, you don't need to force yourself to play the game. You know, Dokkan is not people's job. I mean, well, for me, it actually is. But, like, for people, Dokkan is not your job. Like, you don't have to feel like you are required to play it. And I could use the example of me. I really have hated the Legends matchmaking update. I think Legends was on fire, man. Just, like, great updates, great characters. And that matchmaking update really frustrated me, so I just haven't played, right? But, like, it's not like, oh my god, Dokkan, or Legends is dead forever, that game sucks. Like, I have faith that they could kind of, hopefully they'll do something about that matchmaking update, and I could come back. But, I mean, we'll see, right? Like, I would preach not to force yourself to play something that is really driving you batshit insane. That is my recommendation. Still think no Rose for part 2. It doesn't matter if I think Future Gohan has won. I don't see why it couldn't have been a #1 LR Rose. Okay. So the point Harry's making here is that it doesn't matter that Future Gohan has won, because it still could have just been a Rose that's #1, right? For sure. I mean, there's people who have more enjoyment by playing with villains, right? Like, Goresh is one of those people. Every game, every time we're doing, like, Mario Party or something like that, he wants to use a villain. Like, people are like that. So, of course, I mean, when it's like, all right, oh my god, our 80th consecutive #1 unit in the game, superclass character, guys, give Future Gohan the hand. Like, I get that. I mean, yes, I would agree with this. The #1 in the game, Future Gohan, could easily just have been #1 in the game, Rose. 1000%. I'm going pretty slow here, but I mean, unfun restrictions, lack of variety in content. I mean, I would disagree with this. I feel like the Red Zone Cell Max... So we got Red Zone Cell Max, which was different than the Sin fight, which is different than the Omega fight, which is different than the Dismal Future Red Zone fights. I mean, the content this year, the difficult stages, have actually been very good. Now, I mean, at this point, just because they did 3 consecutive stages that are the same of the Dismal Future Red Zone, that doesn't all of a sudden mean, like, oh, there's been a lack of variety in content, and content sucks and stuff like that. This is a point I'll push back on hugely, immensely. I would argue that whereas they designed characters pretty bad a lot of this year, the fights, the strong fights have been good. Red Zone Cell Max was good. Sin was good. Omega was good. First Form Cell and Goku Black were good. I think it's once we get to Red Zone Zamasu, it's like, okay, now this is... They literally gave us 3 Dismal Future Red Zone like fights in a row that were the exact same, right? And we could just simply compare to last year where they did not do that. Let's compare the Dismal Future Red Zone to the Wicked Bloodline Red Zone. Frieza, super long fight, right? You know, turn 10, turn 11, turn 12 fight. Cooler, second, you know, the Cooler movie fight, that's essentially like a Dismal Future Red Zone fight, right? But already the first 2 stages are wildly different. Stage 3 is kind of a throwaway against Mecha Frieza and King Cold. That's a shitty stage. It's a throwaway. Stage 4, Metal Cooler. I mean, you could certainly say it's the same thing as the first Cooler fight. Yeah. But then the Metal Cooler fight, the Metal Cooler Core fight, excuse me, is constructed differently, right? Where you have this infinite HP boss that attacks 1,000,000 times and can debuff you, and you could debuff them. It's a different fight. So you look at the Wicked Bloodline Red Zone, and you have 2 fights that are the same, and the rest are different, right? Whereas already with the Dismal Future Red Zone, we have 1 fight that's kind of mid, the androids, and then we have 3 fights that are the same. So, I mean, certainly, if we're gonna do it like that, yes. But I would really, really oppose that content has been bad. The difficult content stages have been bad. We have never, ever, 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 ever had more, like, difficult stages to test characters out in. We've never had it. We've never. And if you disagree, you're lying. You're lying. In years past, we had, like, the Legendary Goku event and Super Battle Road stages, and that is it, right? It's not the same at all. And this is where I can really get into... This is not aimed at Emma, of course, but this is where I can get into people being burned out, right? Because this is not something I'm only seeing from Emma. Like, this type of stuff, all people... So many people are saying this, and it's just not... Like, this is just not true. Super 17 has team class restrictions. Really bad stuff, for sure. I agree. Kale, in bad spot, 1,000%. Where is Carnival LR hit, Dokkan? Where's our Dokkan Fest Khalifa, right? Like, 100%, I agree. Turles, we've talked about him a lot, I agree. Now, Super Trunks, yeah, they actually did give Super Trunks the help, though, that's the thing. But, I mean, yeah, I mean, Kale is, like, borderline of... She's not actually a villain, but she's kind of, like, an opponent role, right? Like, kind of type thing. And it's like, these are like all the villain characters, basically. And then, yeah, In Goku Black sucks. Villains are hurt most by this 1,000%. Villains feel the worst right now than they've ever been. I agree 1,000,000%. Content from January to August, we had two fights that mattered, Sin and Omega. I would argue that the Red Zone Cell Max was a very good fight as well. Both are the same design-wise. A bit in the AoEs, but whereas Omega is a turn, 10, 11, 12, 13 fight, it was very common for me to be fighting Physical Sin on turn 3 and turn 4. So it's like, while their most powerful gimmick of the AoE is similar, the length of the fight was significantly different between these two, right? And we had Sin for, 6 months, basically, right? 5 months, where he was the hardest fight in the game, and then the Omega fight, replaced it. But it's a huge gap in the length of the fight, right? For some, he was the only fight that really felt that hard for months. Sure, I mean, Broly was still a competitive stage, Metal Cooler Core is still a competitive stage, but Sin was definitely the hardest for sure. Wasn't healthy for the game. Okay, I mean, but the only thing I really see where this would have been different, they don't typically just be like, all right, here's the hardest fight in the game in this random celebration, right? Like, they save that type of stuff for kind of like the major benchmarks of the year. I do think that we could have maybe seen something for, like, Golden Week, maybe for Goku Day, but then, Tanabata. Like, so, like, Anniversary, right? Like, they're not going to drop, like, oh, the hardest fight in the game for, like, Saiyan Day. Like, that's just not realistic to think, right? So, like, Golden Week was a spot. We didn't get, like, a new super difficult fight. Goku Day, maybe. There was a lot of speculation. Maybe we get, like, a new legendary Goku event, which certainly could have been a little bit different. We didn't get that. But then the next landing spot, you know, Golden Week, Goku Day, Tanabata. But then Tanabata, we did get a new toughest fight in the game. So, like, this is why, like, I do feel like people were overblowing this quite a bit this year. That, like, oh my god, there's no content coming in. It's like, well, I mean, people were saying this in, like, April, and it's like, bro, like, we just got, like, the hardest fight in the game. We just got the Red Zone Cell Max fight, which is a strong fight, which is, I think, designed well. Now, since Worldwide started, every fight is 5 turns or less. Yeah, I mean, even the Vegito Blue fight, for sure, right? Absolutely, absolutely. Feels like same units that are good or bad in one fight are going to be good or bad in the other fights. That's correct. Yep. So that's what. Well, that's why in 2 days, right? It's going to be on the. It's going to be the 22nd. Yeah, it's going to be the 22nd is when the events are dropping. We're going to see, right? New hardest fight in the game, Fusion Zamasu. You know, Fusion Zamasu in the Gods and Mortals event, and then also the Sword of Hope Trunks. We'll see. We'll see. Yeah, I mean, I do. The only thing I'm just really hoping that Red Zone Fusion Zamasu is, like, long, like Omega. I think that's big. It's been the worst year of Dokkan I can remember. So many fumbled units and disappointing releases, especially for villains. Sure. Yeah, LR Orange Piccolo was last year. Yeah. Let's see. Golden Week, Saiyan Day are his only ones. Well, no. I mean, I do like Zamasu and Vegito Blue Part 1. People have their anger about, well, but people were, I mean, I guess people are so mad about the Zamasu name. Vegito Blue's active skill condition certainly is very bad for transforming. So, alright, we can give them that. Part 1 of Anniversary, though, like, I'm sorry. Like, that's not, Part 1 of Anniversary is not fumbled, not disappointing. Part 2... the Carnival Goku and Carnival Gohan, a lot of it is people gaslighting themselves into, like, we're getting Omega and Kid Buu, finally. And then we don't get it, and then people say it's the worst ever. Right? Were those releases actually, like, the worst dog shit stuff we've ever gotten? Definitely not. Super 17, we can call that a fumble. I do struggle to call Kale a direct fumble, but they didn't give Kale help. Kale doesn't feel good to use, because she doesn't really have tons of help. Like, you gotta build, like, a jank-ass team, right? It's like, alright, we're running our Kale team with LR Golden Freeze on it and shit like that. You did count Golden Week, so we'll just skip past Bulma and Goku and Piccolo. Yeah, I mean, I guess I would have to agree with this guy, huh? Because, I mean, am I gonna call Turles a great release? No. Screw Up on Goku? No. I would call Full Power Super Saiyan 4 a great release, though. But I mean, I'm gonna assume this guy's a global player, right? Like, Full Power Super Saiyan 4 is not out yet on global. Omega is definitely a fumble. Super Trunks, God, what is the ruling? Is Super Trunks a fumble? I feel like he probably isn't. I don't know that we can give. I'd love to call Super Trunks a fumble, but I don't think we can call Super Trunks a fumble, especially with the help that he's gotten. Certainly, a lot of the releases definitely don't seem great. Let me look at 2022. Anniversary, huge success. Although Part 2, I mean, I would argue is worse than this year's part. So Kaioken Goku and Great Ape Vegeta is worse. Ginyu was just a monster, fat, slobbery W, for sure. Majin Vegeta, I mean, he was very negative until Vegeta and Trunks came out. I mean, we could call him, he's a character people wanted for sure. But, I mean, he was very iffy until Vegeta and Trunks came out. And then I think he really rounded quite nicely into shape. But I think we could call him a W release, right? Who was April? It was, oh, yeah. Worst fumble ever, Raditz, of course. He sucked, yeah. Physical Goku and Piccolo, I mean, they were effective. I don't feel particularly strongly that I want to call them, like, an L or something like that. Oh, yeah, and then Super Boo this year. He's terrible, yeah, for sure. As, like, a release, yeah, he's god-awful. The ROF Blues were definitely a fumble last year, no doubt about it. But then, like, LR Golden Frieza's a god. LR Golden Frieza's still disgusting, right? Vegeta and Trunks were incredible. Infusion Zamasu, I mean, we now have to go back and we have to rewrite history and say that he's a dog shit release, right? Infusion Zamasu. I feel like we kind of have to. Pan, Bro, I want to call Pan a fumble so bad. Is Pan what does the council say? Is Pan a fumble? I want to say Pan is a fumble so bad. I'm calling Pan a fumble. I don't care. Pan is a fumble. Yeah. And then we get into Worldwide. Part 1 is great. Part 2, though, those characters. I mean, can I really call Metal Cooler a fumble? I'd love to, but I don't think I can. The boys, though, Super Saiyan Goku, Super Saiyan Vegeta, they're goddamn right a fumble. Absolutely. Those boys are a big-ass fumble, for sure. Okay. Then the Gammas and Kid Goku were, like, tremendous releases. Yeah, okay. I mean, yeah, 2022, in terms of character releases, certainly does look much better. Oh, they released units without help. Yeah, Omega, Boo, Kale, Super 17. I mean, I would say Turles, too. They did give Turles some help, but Turles needs a lot... Bro, he needs a lot more help than he's got. He needs a lot more help. I've loved it. You know what's so funny is the Dokkan community is very fickle, right? Like, just like a week ago, like, I saw, like, Minato and many people say, this is my favorite year ever in terms of character picks, right? And then it's like, today happens, and everyone's like, the game has sucked for 2 years straight. People, right? Like, it is so funny how that turns. I mean, this is not correct. We've gotten villains this year. It's just that they've made them shit, basically. That's the problem. I do think that this is actually an issue. I do think people, like, actually go too overboard with it. I do. Like, I get being upset about things. But, again, my solution is rather than, you know, is to put the damn game down if it frustrates you to that level. 100%. Nonsense in general. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I mean, I can certainly look back on this now. Like, I did see an argument of, like, oh, it's good that LR Turles didn't EZA during the Turles celebration because then they could save him for later. But now I'm like, no, that argument I've decided can be shot into the sun and the moon. I would much rather have gotten STR LR Turles to EZA during the Turles celebration rather than them. You know, Future Gohan instead of Goku Black, main EZAs being not ready to use on the latest content. Well, some. I mean, the thing is, though, Zamasu and Future Gohan are way better than the EZAs from last year. Namek Goku, I thought, was a strong character, but Future Gohan and Zamasu are shitting. Like, Namek Goku's performance in September of 2022 is not half as good as AGL Zamasu's performance in September of 2023, right? Transforming Vegeta sucks balls in Goku Black is not good. But, I mean, this I feel like would be a stronger point if we didn't just get, you know, Fusion Zamasu, AGL Fusion Zamasu in Future Gohan. And, I mean, no one is talking about it, but did we get the best batch of sub-EZAs ever? They were, weren't they? I mean, that matters, too. I mean, to be fair, this is a post where I'm asking people, what are the things you don't like? So, of course, they're not going to talk about positives, but... Let's take a look at this. Okay. Here, I'm going to take a drink. I'm just going to read this real quick. Cool. Yeah, this is a major issue. Again, this is Turles, Super 17. Right. You can maybe throw Kale in there because, I mean, she's not getting Universe 6 help, right? And then not really helping, yeah. The only one of these characters that got the help this year is Super Trunks. He's the only one. And he's just a generic Saiyan, right? Like, it's, oh my god, no way, the Saiyan gets help. Yeah. Certainly. I mean, we were during Golden Week, we were saying it was time for a new Legendary Goku event. I think that could be good. Or, you know, Red Zone Fusions will also be like a 15-turn fight. Keep in mind, with talk about long content, Global does not have Omega. And, like, we see in Halbert, like, Dokkan Battle Global, right? Like, it's like, that's the thing with long fights. I mean, the Omega fight is long, but, like, we could get even longer. I will certainly acknowledge that. But, like, a lot of Global players, like, they don't have the Omega fight on Global, which is a thing. All right, let's look at some quotes. Yeah, I mean, this is ass. Again, Turles is significantly better with his intro. No doubt about it. Too many releases that need help and never get it. Yup, 100%, 100%, 100%. Yeah, just Saiyans. Saiyan, like, you know you're good summoning for a Saiyan. They'll get the help they need. Yeah. Super 17 is such a dreadful release for sure. It's his animations are so good too, but like, yeah, it's dreadful. Yeah, for sure. Well, Platty getting his quotes in. Oh my God, Platty. All right, let's see. Needless restrictions. Yep. Omega, man, dude, man. Omega's not like, he wouldn't be like, oh my God, he's top 5 in the game. But if Omega was extreme class instead of GT bosses, oh. It would be such... Fusion Zamasu's team would be getting such a massive buff from that. Like, yeah. Okay. Here's the first look at this. I'm interested to see what Proton is going to say. This is a major thing that can be addressed, and they could majorly improve on. Yeah, this is the first time we've seen this in this video. This is going to be a good point, I'm thinking. Can understand why they can't buff cards, names, add voices, have to remove OSTs. Why can't they explain these decisions to players? I really agree. I think that this is actually one of the bigger things. I think, like, if they're going to make decisions about some of these things, I don't see why they can't just share some reasoning with the players. I mean, this is just how Dokkan kind of operates. I mean, go take a look at, like, Legends. Like, Legends does these news notes, and, like, you know, they're kind of, like, explaining things heavily, right? Dokkan doesn't do that. I think that this would, again, as Proton says, lead to a healthier community. Like, this is something Dokkan should really do, is up communication. Now, I do think that they've listened, and I think the Cooler Movie Worldwide Download Celebration to this one is proof of that. But, like, you can always do more. And I think more communication is, like, big. It's big. Game has been so incredibly unimaginably dry during any... okay, but I mean, this is always, like, this is not, like, this is how the game is. And this is how Legends, like, this is how these gacha games are, like, these Bandai gacha games. Like, I mean, you could even say the same thing, again, I like Dead by Daylight. You could say the same, like, this is not a Dokkan issue, though, right? This right here, this is not a Dokkan issue. We need things like burst mode up more. I mean, we do get it every month. Right? Like, it's, again, I mean, this is, thank God the global sync is happening, because it's like, I mean, dude, the Omega burst mode was pretty fun. The Turles burst mode was pretty fun. But guess what? Global players haven't gotten this stuff yet, right? Like, the reason those burst modes were fun is because they were on the very old Dokkan events that were structured differently, right? They had gimmicks. Remember the STR Omega Shenron fight? You're going through a bunch of the Shadow Dragons, right? The Turles fight, remember Turles, you know, you could, like, nuke him out of there before he even transforms into his last phase, and he gets, like, the big heal. Like, and, you know, there's the first phase with a million enemies. Like, the fights are structured differently. Now, okay. So, bi-weekly new Red Zone stage. To me, I mean, they probably could do that, but, I mean, that's, I don't know. What we could get is weekly Red Zone missions. 1000%. The Red Zone missions are always really fun. I always see people having fun about that. Something I could pull up. I could just show this, like, with my views, I think. Can we go to live streams and then go by popular? Yeah, let's go by popular. Yeah, look at this. Look at this. Legendary Goku event missions. I specifically remember this. Like, global players got, like, a bunch of these missions to Legendary Goku event, and I remember how much fun people were having with that. People were loving that shit, right? The Legendary Goku event missions. Look at this. 10 new stages of Super Battle Road go up. Like people love this, right? These are Super Battle Road runs. Although this stream, I mean, if you know, you know. That's a little different. You know, here's 10 new Super Battle Road stages. Legendary Goku event missions, right? Like, those people really love that. This is a good point. Red Zone missions every like week, every day to download. Give us like a mission, right? I don't see, so Super Trunks has his celebration. It would be tough, but what if Red Zone Cell, you had to beat them with an Android Cell Saga team, right? For the Super Trunks celebration. You know, so they just, you know, with the Carnival LR Future Gohan and Carnival LR Sort of Hope Trunks banners, what if they drop a mission, right? And it's, you know, beat Red Zone Zamasu, the Future Saga team, right? Shit like that. it's good. It's good. Like, that's good. That's something that they should do way more often. 100%. But again, this, I mean, this is something people have said this for every second of every. To be fair, people said that the Cooler Movie Celebration was boring and shit the entire way through it, and now people talk about it like it was the greatest celebration ever, right? Like, every celebration ever, 7th anniversary, all these people are saying it's shit and there's nothing to do, right? You go back, every celebration ever, people are loudly saying there's nothing to do. This is a problem. This will be every celebration, no matter what. They can start doing all these things, and people will still say there's nothing to do. It's always going to be a thing. People are always going to be saying that. Characters being given unnecessary restrictions, yeah. I mean, I think maybe the issue with this is Dokkan, no, I guess this isn't going to be true, but I was going to say Dokkan creating this difficult content, and then, like, they haven't really pushed power creep that far forward from, like, the 7th anniversary LRs, and they still haven't, but they now, it does feel like they're making the content really hard. Like, it does feel like they're pushing, like, difficult event power creep again. Right? Like, giving characters restrictions, stuff like that, could be a way to balance things out from that, like, just exploding power creep, but then they just made events, you know, power creep anyway, so. You know, I can't argue this. I cannot argue this. No one talks about Dr. Willow. We finally get Dr. Willow. It would have been so sick if he was good. I'm so on board. Yeah, dude. F Matsu and Dokkan. Willow did not deserve this. I'm so on board with this. Is the best point anyone has made. Willow, we get him after 8.5 years, and he sucks. That is such a bummer. Why was Willow the LR? And, dude, Willow should have been the Turles Dokkan Fest slot. This was a bummer. I'm so on board with this one. We finally get Dr. Willow, and he sucks. It's like the least hype year of Dokkan ever, honestly. Now, keep in mind, people who have been around for years, I feel like this is a thing that's usually going to be said every year now, right? Oh, this is the least hype year, because people have now been playing it for years and years and years. Game's not as fresh. But at the same time, I mean, this is certainly true, right? But that's because we've already expended most of the craziness, right? Like, we're going to have to get to Dokkan original stuff. Like, they're going to get the representation, Pan and Raditz. That's the thing. I mean, last year, again, people will rewrite history about this. Me and Goresh were streaming Elden Ring, and the LR Super Saiyan 4 EZAs were announced, and Captain Ginyu's Dokkan event was announced at the same time. Only me and Goresh pretty much cared about Captain Ginyu getting a Dokkan event. I mean, there's obviously some people, but, like, you know, it's like me and Goresh are very excited about that, and the chat is just spamming, like, yes, global W, this will be so easy to skip before anniversary. That's what people were saying, right? And then, of course, Ginyu was so busted that everyone, you know, loved him and wanted him. But, like, this is not, like, a just this year thing, right? You see, Kale's not hype. Super 17's not hype. Maybe Turles is not hype, right? Like, we go through a lot of these characters that aren't hype. But, like, you could do that last year, too, right? For sure. Pan was not hype. Raditz was not hype. Ginyu was not hype until they made him God, right? Like, stuff like that. And then even hype once we get, like, Vegito Blue don't feel anywhere near as hype as they should be because of their kits and stuff. I mean, sure. I'll give you Vegito Blue. We want to use Vegito Blue. We don't really want to be stuck using Blue Goku and Vegeta, and that's a major issue. It's tough to transform into Vegito Blue, so I'll give him that. Certain units are designed for certain events in the past. Why not show us where, how... Oh. I like that. They did kind of, like, do, like, some graphics on Global, right, where they talked a little about the character. I like that. Like, drop a little tutorial. Yeah, could you imagine? How much money would you guys pay to see a Matsu drop, like, a Goku Black tutorial, and then it's just him, he gets, like, just, like, one shot. Like, Goku Black turn 1, just instantly killed. That would be funny. That would be funny for sure. All right, we're at 50 minutes. Maybe, like, a couple more here. Yeah, I'm with it. I mean, dude, this guy secretly... People don't really talk about this guy. What a dog shit. How stupid can they be? This guy still doesn't have a 200% leader. Like, It's ridiculous. He is on Fusion Zamasu's team, and I would argue he's probably going to be pretty effective against like Fusion, like Dismal Future Red Zone Zamasu, like Fusion Zamasu. This guy will be good, but yeah, really weird. Super Trunks, I mean, he got his help, so I am hesitant to include him in these. Kit's tailor-made for long events, not giving us a true long event. Burst mode, and then that was super easy. Yeah. So I'm making short events. Yep. Long events. Yeah, people really want their long events. I mean, that's... alright, yeah, I know the bunny is not talking. Alright, let's see. Tired of... Wait. Back-to-back LRs? I mean, well, okay. But this is a thing forever. Like, this is a thing forever. Like, LR, like... I mean, how long have they been doing this? 6 years now? 5 years now? I don't... Like, it's... The game is designed to get people to spend money. You have to be smart with, you know, picking what banners to summon on. It's always been this way. Private servers, I have no comments. We didn't get another... Yamcha was a pretty... Yamcha was not hype, but, like, he had tight animations. Like, I feel like most people would probably call Yamcha a good release, right? Yeah. I mean, we're not going to get another Yamcha Dokkan Fest this soon. Lack of any coherent extreme class buffs until Texamasu. Well, I mean, Piccolo Jr., but, I mean, you're still making a good point. Yeah. We haven't had a new Frieza since what? Well, I mean, we had Golden Frieza last year. But, I mean, Frieza Dokkan Fest? Right? Yeah. I mean, I think a final form Frieza from Namek with Domain destroying the planet could be pretty sick. That would be very fire. One more. Released too many units that weren't very hype characters, made too many characters EZAs that aren't tuned well for current content. Yeah, I mean, yeah, a lot of characters aren't tuned well, I agree. The not too many hype characters, I mean, guys, we're just gonna have to accept that this is the way it's gonna be. Like, they're, you know, we're 8 years in, you know, they're gonna be getting their Zarbon Dokkan Fests out. We're gonna be getting our Lord Slug Dokkan Fest, Garlic Jr. Dokkan Fest, right? Like, you know, we're not at the point where it's like, okay, you know, the final explosion and good animations, finally. All right, now Super Saiyan 3 Goku transformation and good animations. Now it's Beast. Like, it's like we've seen, like, a lot of this stuff at this point. So, I mean, this is going to be a thing. Like, they're going to... And this is why I recommend people, you know, oh, they released Dokkan Fest Zarbon. Well, I don't care about Zarbon, so I'll just put the game down for a bit. Oh, shit. They dropped a real Beast Gohan, start a turn Beast Gohan, great animations, a real Beast Gohan. All right, I'm coming back to play. Like, that's my recommendation to players. Let me know what you guys think. I mean, certainly I agree with a lot of people's frustrations and stuff like that. I wish I could get through more comments, but like I mean, I'm chatty, guys. Like, I'm right. Like, when I get to comments, I don't want to just like, oh, like I'll just say like 2 things about it, right? Yeah, this guy was ass. This is the thing, like, villain, like, oh god. Now, banner units have always been hit or miss, always, but oh my god, like, this does hurt, right? Like, this guy being good would help. It would help. Although we, you know, he was just a kind of a shitty pick for a banner unit anyway, because Int Zamasu is solid on a Realm of Gods team, and then AGL Zamasu is great, but I mean, to be fair, you'd only have him for 1 turn. So, like, you know, like, not linking together. This is one thing that has not come up during this. Huge thing Dokkan could do that would help quite a bit. It would help a lot. Same name linking update has to happen. I gotta do a video specifically talking about that. It would just help. It would help so much. It would actually help so much. I just think of last year. Remember last year? Let me just quickly make this point and then I'm gonna finish. We'll go to the Global Thieving 6 wiki for this. One more. It's right here. No, one more. Right here. Okay. So we got this guy, and then we got this guy right here. This guy, obviously, you know, top 2, top 3 unit in the game. Some people said top 1, but he was never better than Vegeta and Trunks, but very, very powerful. He can't synergize with this unit. This unit, I thought, was actually pretty effective. This was a pretty decent character. Strong sub EZA. But you couldn't use them together. Because this guy, you cannot run him in slot 1. This is a slot 2 character, or slot 3. And so is this. So it's like you couldn't run, because villains, look at this. There's 15% attack and defense, 25% attack and defense, 15% attack, 10% attack and defense, 20% attack. Like, you see it, right? Like, villains thrive off of their links. So, like, this guy was basically dead because you couldn't run him with this guy. Same name linking update. This guy would have been crazy. He would have been a baller last year. He would have been so good. Like, if these two could just link. So, that's what I would say. Is that Dokkan? I think it's time for the same name linking update. I think that could help things quite a bit. So, let me know what you guys think about all the discussion. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll catch y'all next time.